goes, the more into it like the corporation is.
Back to the winner-take-all final here, Game 2 of Match 3 at the Bearded Dragons December Winter Kit Tournament. I'm Tim, and you're watching UTR Gaming. That's me on the left playing Near Earth Hub, NBN's new identity that everybody loves to hate. And that's Dan P. from Jupiter Games on the right playing Noise.
Second excellence inside here. Third action, let's hedge fund.
So probably not a whole lot of agendas in hand. I also played against Dan a bunch of times, and I was banking on the fact that he's going to try to build the engine with Noise. I've seen a lot of players try to build the engine with Noise, and I was like, I bet we're not going to be running here. Excuse me, and this is the only ice in my hand, or the only agenda in my hand is an NAPD contract. I'm not too concerned about it. So right away getting those remotes set up. Not as effective against Noise if we drop that imp, but really getting the money up, leaving HQ wide open, see if we can go get some cards, losing that click to the wild side. There's that imp. We're going to go trash out some of these economy cards. That's got to go. Daily Business Show absolutely has to go. That card is absolutely nuts. Surprised not to see the pad campaign trashed out there. Maybe money not so much a big deal, but you still don't want to see any corporation with money or any player with money for that matter. Especially NPN getting the astrobiotics going, that biotic labor train, sand flipping over. You just really don't want to see any of that nonsense. So Noise kind of fighting the battle with do I get rid of your money or do I continue to build my rig? And with Pawn Shop, that's pretty much going to seal the deal. So the economic engine definitely going to be coming online very, very shortly here for Noise. There's the first scoring window, so going to go down to pretty much no money. We're going to score out that first Astro script, and I believe we failed to draw a card off of that, so didn't catch it. A little bit of a misplay. That's not a May ability, that's a have-to ability, so one of the cards on the top of the deck not drawn there. Players playing fast. One of the downsides to playing fast is you gotta see. So luckily no agendas were drawn there, so hopefully we didn't have anything else. So install. I see another Astro script in hand. Gonna install in front of that, and we're gonna gain a credit. Passing back over. Data Sucker getting pawn shopped. Noise in the money here. Drawn, two cards off that wild side. Looking for Grimoire Cash to really start rolling this, get some deja vus. Already an Astro script on the table, so the clock is really running down thin. Kind of one of the downsides to Noise is Noise doesn't necessarily want to run all the time. But NBN kind of forces that. NBN kind of says, like, you're going to have to run, even when you don't want to. Another Daily Business Show, so that card's got to go too. That card absolutely has to go. I don't know if we're going to leave it. Nope, it's going to get trashed out. So Noise, depending, can get pretty lucky. Can, as we were talking about in some of the earlier games, you can really mill out those agendas. Can definitely disrupt the economy and the assets from NBN. Has the imps to deal with the assets that are going to get played out. But if NBN, just like anybody, if you draw that God Hand like Dan saw in the second round, there's really not a whole lot anybody else is going to do about it. So we're going to install the Astro script, we're going to kick it into another Astro script, and we're going to pass the turnover. So 2 Astro scripts scored. The clock not looking good. There's a fast track in hand. You're really just not good. If anybody been following up on the StimHack forums here, as I just kind of ramble a little bit, reading a couple articles or a couple posts from Mediocore, the former world champion now, and he said that the reason he's not a big fan of NBN is because regardless of the piloting of it, he really feels like win or lose is mostly just based on coin flips. And the more I play this deck, the more I kind of agree. I've lost a lot of games because I didn't draw what I needed to, and I've won a lot of games because my opponent hit R&D after R&D after R&D and just didn't see anything. That being said, it's not entirely a coin flip. There's actually a ton of skill and a lot of piloting and a lot of timing tempo. So NBN being was previously the kings of tempo, but Replicating Perfection really stole that hands down. So I think that's why most people are way more likely to want to play Replicating Perfection as opposed to NBN, because the skill of the player really dictates what's going to happen in a Replicating Perfection game, as opposed to a bunch of lucky hits in Fast Advance. Although now you also see a lot of arguments with how much skill does it really take to win a Psy game in a Future Perfect battle and a Caprice battle. I'm sorry, you scored 4 points. I have a Nisei counter. I have a Caprice and an Ash. I have 4 points, and I'm about to score the Future Perfect that you tried to pull out of my hand twice for the win and couldn't do because of Psy games. So, another comment from Mediocre and a lot of the players on there was that he really isn't a fan of the Future Perfect, and he said if there was any agenda that's going to get banned, it has to be the Future Perfect, and his argument against banning AstroScript or even limiting it, such as they have done with Phyletic Entanglement, is that card is only good with the addition of Project Beal and another 3 for 2. You can pretty much bank on the fact that NBN is not getting another 3 for 2 anytime soon, because the amount of 3 for 2s that were in Hasbiroid Fast Advance made Hasbiroid Fast Advance a better, more competitive deck. You had more agendas that you could hit off of it. It was more consistent. You just get the Sand, you get the Glacier Ice up, and then you just start scoring things out. Biotic Labor was in faction, allowed you to spend influence somewhere else. It was really only the 17 influence on Near Earth Hub that gave people the ability to really play it and really try to draw with it, but you still needed Project Beal, you still needed the 6 of them, because AstroScript alone wasn't going to do a whole lot. Being able to take the 17 influence and use 12 of it for the Biotic Labors, or 8 of it if you weren't going to run all 3 of them, and make Biotic Labor AstroScript a big deal. Because Biotic Labor and AstroScript, that's where the problem came in. AstroScript scoring out required a Sand, required tempo setup. It was 8 credits to pull the thing off. You set yourself down way back. It was huge openings for the runner. Were you still going to win games off of it? Yes. Was it going to be a lot harder for the runner to come in? Or easier for the runner to come in and do stuff after that? Yes, it was. So we see an install, I believe, advance, and score? Just double checking some math here. And scoring the Beal, so we are now on the table here at 6 points. And Noise just whiffing, install after install, just whiff. Corporation drawing a ton of cards. NBN is drawing a card, then installing and drawing a card. Daily Business Show if it gets res, looking at 2 cards to draw. You're going through so much of your deck so fast, just getting all the pieces that you need, really putting the runner on a clock here. So making it pretty difficult. I believe we just saw a couple cash, so we're going to start to see some cash recursion. So not out of it yet, as we saw in round 1 with the Hades fragment. Definitely some things that can be done there. No res. We're going to see Jackson Howard. He's going to get kicked before the runner chooses to access. We're just shuffling a face-down card. And see a Biotic Labor and another Jackson Howard. Not bad against Noise to put the Jackson Howards back in. Oh, no, we're not putting in the face-down card. We're going to let the face-down card sit there. Play another Cyber Feeder. And that will end the turn. So we pawn-shopped away that wild side. We pretty much got to deal with what we got here and hope that the corporation doesn't top deck into anything that they need. Still 2 breaking news on the table. And we're going to see what happens here. So we're going to install on a remote server, draw a card. Hedge fund for some more money. I know I saw a fast track. I would be tempted, without the breaker, to fast track for that breaking news and make the corporation spend a lot more of their turn coming and getting it than they wanted to. I know it's a really aggressive play without that Biotic Labor, but still a 1 in 5 chance after having to play a breaker and run a couple times. Instead, just electing to play it safe. We don't have the agenda in hand. We're going to ice up R&D, make it so that Noise is going to really sit there behind it. But it is kind of buying time for Noise to continue to play out some of his things and get a couple lucky top decks and get himself right back in this game. But with only 1 AstroScript, 2 Beals, 3 NAPD contracts, it's going to be an expensive game for the runner to climb himself back into. But going back to what I was saying before, I tend to agree with what was being said about the different identities. One of my friends at the Dragon plays a Replicating Perfection deck, and I've played it over and over and over and over again. And if I can get on top of it early and get things trashed, I do pretty well. But especially with the inclusion of IT department now, for anybody who's gotten the pleasure of playing against that wonderful card, it's just what I love about that card in Replicating Perfection is that if you already have Ash or Caprice in a server ready to go, and you flip that over and you advance it 3 times, they're going to spend their turn going to get it. It's going to be taxing. It's going to be brutal. Unless they got a ton of money, the immediate turn after that, knowing they have to recover, is installing and advancing. If they don't come and get it, you install and advance and have a free 3, 4, 5, a 6 credit boost to a piece of ice they have to go through. You're guaranteeing they're not scoring that. So even more tricks for Replicating Perfection, making Replicating Perfection, in my eyes, the only deck that you really need to play at big corporation tournaments. Big competitive tournaments. Now, that being said, with Order and Chaos coming out this weekend, for anybody, I know everybody's staying on top of that. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for it because I do believe that it's going to give, wow, that's too bad, another whiff here with Noise, with a bunch of other cards accessed there off the top of R&D. So just getting unlucky, not seeing any points, not hitting the Astro Scripts, not hitting the Beals, just essentially burning more cards away to give the corporation even more of a chance to draw into the cards that they're going to need to go ahead and really seal this game out, to top deck that other agenda. I really like... Yeah, so top deck the breaking news. Go ahead and get it. We had the Biotic Beal in our hands, and he just top decked the Astro Script, so too little, too late. And that's going to do it. So Tim's going to take the Bearded Dragon Kit Tournament. He is going to win this one. This match 2-0. We thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate your support. And we'll be up with some store championships in the January Kit Tournament coming up soon.
Oh, the camera one?